Hi. Hello friends, good evening to all of you. I welcome you all for attending this virtual seminar on QRNPS and latest amendment in GST. Today our speaker is CL Payal Kataria to address on this hot topic QRNP. I welcome Shri Vishnu Tulsian, President of our association, and request him to say few words. Over to
Thank you,
Vishnu.
Amit. Thank you, Amit, Co-Chairman, Study Circle. And I welcome on behalf of BIPCA Study Circles to all my viewers on the Zoom and especially Payal Kataria ji, who will enlighten us today on the very specific topic of QRPM. It's really very useful as we students understand, but as a teacher, Madam will say how it is benefit or how it will make further comparison to the world or to our life. We don't know. And I am the student of GST, so I can't speak much on the GST. Yes, as a president, I can say something for the association that we are having around 800 chartered accountant members in the Eastern India Regional Council. And ma'am, recently we have just passed the benevolent policy to support the young chartered accountant who are having 3 years of registration with the ICI. And by this policy, we have become perhaps the first study circle in India which has such as a policy, and we are really making the true sense the nation building process. Apart from that, we have very other. We have also participated in the CABF fund of the ICI, which is also very beneficial to the chartered accountant and their family members. And through this, we are also taking a lot of other programs, technical, non-technical, social, and all the spiritual health, everything. So we are a very vibrating organization, and I welcome on behalf of the association to you for the further enlightening us. Now I hand over the proceeding to Chairman Amit Agarwal. Thank you,
Thank you,
ma'am.
Vishnu. Thank you, Vishnu. Now uh, I read out the profile of C.S. Payal Kataria. C.S. Payal Kataria is a fellow member of Institute of Company Secretaries of India with postgraduate in commerce, having 10 years of experience as practicing company secretary in Delhi NCR. Provides advisory service to organizations on goods and service tax and also advises industry in adopting digital technologies in operations. Use analytics for visibility and decision making. She contributed in a capacity as a special invitee of GST Core Committee of ICSI in the year 2017 and 2018. Presently member of Advanced Tax Law Expert Committee of ICSI and Young Members Empowerment and Placement Committee of NIRC of ICSI for the year 2021. She has been nominated as member of GST cell of the Institute of Cost Accountants of India for the year 2021. She is playing instrumental role in building awareness program on GST. And if there is any question, I think we shall, every member is requested to put it in the chat box. At the end of the session, we will take the question answer. Over to you, CS5.
Thank you very much, Chairman sir. And I'm also thankful to the President sir for inviting me for the VIP study circle of ICI. So, friend, today's topic is about the QRMP scheme. And let me share with you my screen so that we can start our presentation. Hope my screen is visible.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am, visible.
thank you very much, sir. So, friends, today's topic is about the QRMP and the latest amendments in the GST. Now, the first very question arises in our mind that why there is a need for QRMP and what basically are the objectives behind which this QRMP scheme is actually drafted or launched. So if I say that why need for the QRNP? If we start from the beginning that once the GST came into picture in the year 2017, at that time as we were aware that there was a concept GSTR 1, 2 and 3. And very soon what happened? that this GSTR2 was basically taken out of the system. And what I feel that the moment this GSTR2 was taken out of the system, it basically created so many problems even till date. Because the mechanism, the whole law which was based on the foundation of this GSTR 1, 2, and 3, so it was very systematic and it was drafted with the on the strong foundation. But what government did, they focused only on their own payments. They were focusing that their monthly payment should always come. That's why they focus only on the GSTR1 and GSTR3B, which was the mechanism for the payments basically. So who suffered actually? Because the GSTR2, which is actually talking about the inputs, which is talking about my purchases, it was taken out. And who is suffering due to this? Ultimately, the businessman is suffering due to this. And government taken care of its monthly payments. That, and you must have seen that even till time, government never ever changed the date for 3B. They need their revenue on the monthly basis. That's why they are focusing that the GSTR1 should be into picture, and they can secure their payments and they can secure their revenues. But I think they were not thinking about the business owners. That's why they never focus on GSTR2. And later on they thought that okay, let's launch the new concept. Then they also said that okay, there will be a Sahad Sugam and the normal concept. Then they start launching that concept. And later on, they realize that, oh, now the people, they are in the habit of GSTR 1 and 3B. Now it will be very difficult for them to accept this or to digest this, that the certain new mechanism has come into picture. So later on, I think they thought that, okay, let's keep that GSTR1 and GSTR3B into picture and let's improve the existing system. So what I feel that again we are missing the GSTR2, and I think to facilitate that thing, now they are doing certain new inventions. Every time they are doing certain experiments and whole minds they are working in these type of experiments and all. And what they did, okay, now they launched this scheme, QRMP scheme, because many people they are suffering due to the heavy compliances and all. And moreover, they launched one more concept, and that concept was like giving one facility on the GST portal with respect to the communication with the other taxpayer. Now, by giving this facility, now they want to say that if you want to communicate with the another GSTN person, and if your input tax credit is somewhere stuck, or the another parties is not filing the return on time, and you can communicate through the portal, but there is a no legal backing for that facility which is provided on the portal. So in place of this type of mechanism, the email concept which is provided on the portal, which we can communicate with the another GSTN persons, so the communication should be the legal communication. And I think the concept of GSTR2 was the legal communication. It was the complete trail basically from the beginning to the end, from the purchase till the sale. So, in this scheme, QRMP scheme, they launched so many things. And during this webinar, we will learn what actually the scheme is, like for the making ourselves aware about the QRMP scheme, what this scheme is. And then we will make, I think, the perfect analysis of the scheme, that whether I should go for this scheme, whether the scheme is beneficial, or whether I should opt this scheme or I should not opt for this scheme. And the most important thing we will do today is basically the deep analysis of this scheme. That is very important. What I feel that being a professionals, we should spend more time with the respect to the analysis part of any notification and any type of circulars which are coming these days. Okay, if I talk about the objectives of the scheme, If you will read the related circular which was issued, and till time uh, MOM is not issued, like the agenda or minutes of the meeting, they are not available with us of this 42nd GST Council meeting where this QRMP scheme was launched and it was proposed. But in the circular, it is mentioned that what was the objective behind the QRMP scheme. So they started with the words that the objective of the QRMP scheme is first to give the facility to the taxpayers, and secondly they are mentioning for ease of doing business. Now let's examine whether this scheme is going to give us any ease, whether this scheme is actually giving any facility or easiness to the business. Okay, let's make an analysis. Before this, I will give the overview of this particular scheme, what this particular scheme is talking about, so that being an professionals, we are at least aware about the scheme, so that we can give an advice to our clients. Now, first thing, first, I have put certain notifications and the content here in these various slides just for your references. Otherwise, we will just make a discussion during our webinar. So first important thing, from when this QRMP scheme is applicable? So this QRMP scheme and its full form is quarterly return, monthly payments. So this total scheme is basically divided into two parts. As the name is reflecting, quarterly return but monthly payment. As I told you in the very beginning that government always secure its payments. That's why they build the GST on the foundation of monthly payments. I think this is the one stone which they never taken out. So that's why whatever they launch, they never skip the word monthly payment. So similarly, in this very scheme, again they are mentioning quarterly returns and monthly payments. Now this scheme is applicable from the 1st January 2021, and this particular scheme is applicable only for the registered persons. They are having the turnover in the preceding financial year that is only up to the 5 crores. It means my clients who are having the aggregate turnover above the 5 crores, they are actually not falling under this particular scheme. Only the my clients who are having the turnover below the 5 crores, they can enjoy or they can opt for this scheme. So this is the relevant circular. This is the circular number 143/13/2020. This particular circular is providing in detail all the notifications which are relevant with respect to this QRMP scheme. Now see the forms and the manner of furnishing these returns. As I told you, this scheme is divided into the two parts. One is the furnishing of the returns, right? Now, in this particular scheme, basically the quarterly filing is allowed. Now, what is this quarterly filing here? So, what they are saying that the quarterly return of your 3B as well as the quarterly return will be of your GSTR1. It means both the GSTR1 and the 3B, you have to file both of these on a quarterly basis, right? Now, no more requirement to file your 3B on a monthly basis, right? You must be surprised that, okay, if I am saying that you are required to file the 3B on a quarterly, on the other hand, I'm saying that this scheme is talking about the monthly payments, then you must be feeling that there is a clash. Okay, what they are saying, file the return on quarterly basis, but make the payment on a monthly basis, right? 3B is a quarterly, but the payment for against this 3B will be made on the monthly basis. And now you must be feeling that which form is to be filed, against which challan you will have to make the payment. So on that basis, what you will do, that there is a one form, that is the PMT06, which will be filed on the 25th day of the succeeding month, right? If, for example, for the month of January 2021, if I am opting for this scheme, then how I will make the monthly payments? Then for opting or making the monthly payments, now the relevant form will be your PMT06, and that payment is to be done on the 25th of your February, right? So, but if I'm talking about that, I have to file the quarterly return, which is my 3B. That 3B I have to file after the end of the quarter, and that too on the 22nd and the 24th day of the month of succeeding quarter. So it means the 3B dates, they are fixed as they are followed, even we are following it currently as well. That for the states like in Delhi, Noida, we have the, or you can say the on the upper part of the India, if you see the India map, then on the upper part, half, if you divide it into two parts, in the upper part, 3B dates, they are the 22nd, and for the below half, it is a 22nd. So these 3B dates, they are fixed, which are to be filed on the quarterly basis, but the payment will be done through the PMT06, and that too on the 25th day of the succeeding month, right? It means every month you will deposit the payment of your taxes. Now, as I talked about the turnover, government has provided this new facility on the portal, that now your previous year turnover is applicable, whatever it is for the previous financial year. Now you can see it on the portal. So now you can see that whether whatever your turnover is, on the basis of which actually now they are you providing you the facility of this QRMP, or you are falling under the QRMP, or you are not falling under the QRMP. Now, the next thing, next, now, sorry. Now, whosoever is the registered person, now they will file their quarterly returns, both the quarterly returns, that is your 3B as well as your GSTR1, right? And now the question arises that when I can enter into this scheme and when I can come out of this scheme, right? Now to enter into this scheme, what time limit is available to you? Just the 2 months before you of this current month, or the current month. For example, I explain it with the help of example. If, for example, now I for the month of the January, the last date provided to us to whether I want to opt the scheme or I do not want to opt the scheme, that is the 31st January 2021. It means whether you want to enter or you want to come out of the scheme, government has given a one deadline date, that is the 31st of the January of this month. So by default, actually, they have entered all the registered person who were following the quarterly return mechanism for GSTR1 and whose turnover is below the 5 crore, they are automatically basically transferred into the QRMP scheme. Or those people who were filing their returns on time, like if they have filed their last return of in the month of November 2020, if they are compliant companies and they are below 5 crores and they have opted the GSTR1 on quarterly basis, all those registered persons, they have automatically transferred by the government. Now they need not to enter into the scheme, but they have an option to come out of the scheme. There is a facility which I will explain in the later on slides. But now question arise, okay, I am in the scheme and I forget to come out of the scheme for this quarter of January, February and March. But after the March, in the month of April, I feel that, okay, I don't want this scheme. I want to come out of the scheme. Then what can you do if you want to come out of the scheme anytime before the 2 months of that April? And even in the on the last day of the April, like the 30th of April, till that time I have an option, or I can decide whether I want to enter or I want to exit from the scheme. Similarly, if in the next quarter, right now I am not into the in QRMP scheme, and later on in any of the quarter I want to enter into the scheme, then I can take a decision in the beginning of that quarter, in any time of that quarter, or previous 2 months of that quarter. This is the time duration of the total 3 months when I can take a decision whether I want to enter or I want to come out of this QRMP scheme. Right now, next thing. Government has put certain conditions to enter or to eligible to enter into this scheme. What they are saying, that you can enter into this scheme with the condition that if all the last returns they have been filed, if you have not filed the last returns of all the returns previous to that quarter, then you are not allowed to enter into that particular scheme, right? So the example here is that, for example, a registered person, he is intending to avail the scheme for the quarter, for example, July to September. He can exercise this option during the 1st May to the 31st July if he is exercising his option on, for example, on the 27th July for the quarter. And in such cases, he must furnish the return for the month of June, which was due on 22nd or the 24th of July. It means your all the previous returns must be updated, only then you can. So the crux here is that your previous month returns must be complied or filed, only then you can enter into this QRMP scheme. Then if your turnover is above exceeding the 5 crores, then you cannot enter into this scheme and you have to in fact come out of this scheme. For example, previously you are into the QRMP scheme and during the quarter, for example, your turnover exceed in between. If your turnover exceed in between, of course you will complete that quarter. No problem to complete that quarter in the QRMP scheme. But for the next quarter, you will not be eligible to opt for the QRMP scheme and you have to switch from QRMP to the normal scheme. Now, so let me explain or give you the crux of entry or entry into the scheme. Like there are 4 quarters in a year. Then for the quarter like April to June, like what options are available to you? That is the from the 1st of February to the 30th of June, April. This is the time period, February, March and April. Any time during this time, you can enter into the QRMP scheme. And similarly, for the July to September, their entry time available to you is the 1st May to 31st of July. So this is the time period available with you to enter into the QRMP scheme. Next. Now, what government has done, that by default they have made everyone to be entered into the QRMP scheme. As I already told you that by default they have entered everyone in the QRMP scheme whose turnover was below the 5 crores. And but they have not entered those registered person into the QRMP scheme who were actually filing the monthly GSTR1. So it means if any of your client was filing the monthly GSTR1 and their turnover was below the 5 crores, under that particular scenario, automatically government has not switched you to the QRMP scheme. If these people they want to opt for the QRMP scheme, then they have to opt it. So by default, they are not entered into the scheme, and the deadline and the last day to enter into the QRMP scheme for this current quarter, that is the January, February and March 2020, is the 31st day of January. Now, let me share with you the screenshot, like the working of this, like how you will opt for the scheme. On the portal, you will log in, and after login, there is the tab like service. Under the head tab service, there is a one tab that is called the opt in for quarterly return. The moment you click on this tab, this particular screen will be open on your screen, and now you have two options. As you can see on your screens, there are two options, that is like this one, uh, this, like there are two options. What these two options are saying, that whether you want to opt the QRMP scheme, it means if you want to opt, then you will click the button that is the quarterly, right? And if you don't want the quarterly mechanism of this QRMP scheme, then what you will do, you will press the tab monthly, right? The word monthly is written here. Then you will click the word monthly. Then it means now you are, it indicates now you are out of the QRMP, that you are not interested to of the QRMP. Otherwise, you will click the quarterly. Quarterly here means like now you are making the quarterly return filing and making the monthly payments, and then you will press submit, and the moment you will press the submit, now you will be entered into the QRMP scheme. So this is the option for the quarterly, and it will also give you the dates on which now you are supposed you will make a payment or you will file your returns, and the dates on which you will make the payments of your taxes. Now the next question, that the registered persons who are not eligible for the QRMP scheme. So there is a one list. Composition taxpayers, they cannot opt the QRMP. Input service distributors, non-resident taxable person, even the government department, establishment, state and center governments, they cannot take this. And at the most, all the registered persons having the turnover of rupees 5 crore and more, they are not allowed for this QRMP scheme. Now, the first part now we have discussed, that is about the returns. Now the next part is with respect to the payments. Now with respect to the payments, see, this mechanism of payment, they further divide into the two parts. Again, the payment mechanism has two branches. Now again you have to take a decision whether you want to go for the option number one, and the option number one for the payment is the fixed sum method, and another method is your self-assessment method. So as I told you that the payments, they will be on the monthly basis and the return will be the quarterly. So for the payment mechanism, which return is applicable? Return is the 3B. So 3B you will file the quarterly, but the payment will be done on the monthly basis. And as I told you earlier that which form is applicable for this particular payment, for the first 2 months of this quarter, for any quarter, the first 2 months the payment will be done through your PMT-06 form. Now what is this fixed sum method? Then this fixed sum method is saying that whatever balance that in the first month, the payment will be equal to 35% of the tax paid in the cash in the previous quarter, right? It means that this quarter is January, February, March. So in the previous quarter, whatever cash is paid by me as a registered person, of that value, I will make a payment of the 35% of that value in the first month. In the second month of that quarter, I will again make a payment of 35%. And in the third month, when I'm supposed to file my 3B, while filing my 3B, now whatever actual and whatever I have already paid, that rest of the balance I will have to make through my 3B. So this is the total mechanism which one has to follow through the fixed sum method. So when I read about the fixed sum method, you must be finding that okay, why they are creating so many methods even for the payment. And for example, for there is a one another method like self assessment means whatever is actual output, whatever is actual input, you just minus that input on the basis of your 2B, and what is the actual, just make the payments. So this is the self-assessment. But if you are talking about the fixed sum method, like first you make a calculations, then you divide it into two installment type of system, and then you make the payment of rest of the amount in the third month. So when I read this fixed sum method, so it remind me of one thing. I still remember, like if I relate it with one example, like during our childhood, we saw that मैं इसमें एक स्टोरी सुनाना चाहूंगी कि हमारे घर में जो दूध आता था, तो उसमें क्या होता था कि मेरी मदर, हम 2 लीटर्स मिल्क लेते थे, और उसके बाद जिस दिन कम लिया जाता था तो एक कैलेंडर लगाया होता था, उस दिन मेरी मदर लिख देती थी कि आज ½ kg कम आया है, आज 1 kg कम आया है। तो मंथ के कंप्लीशन पे क्या किया जाता था कि 2 लीटर से मल्टीप्लाई करके जितना नहीं आया लेस किया और उसको पेमेंट कर दी। अब जस्ट इमेजिन करिए कि मुझे ये वही चीज लगती है कि क्या ये कॉन्सेप्ट इजी है कि मैंने अपने टोटल को मल्टीप्लाई किया और जितना मैंने नहीं लिया माइनस किया और पेमेंट कर दी। अगर मैं अब अपनी मदर को कहूँ कि आप ऐसे करिए, अब पेमेंट जो करनी है वो ऐसे नहीं होगी, जितना मिल्क हमने पिछले महीने खरीदा था उसका 35% की पेमेंट हम पहले में देंगे, अगले मंथ में फिर अगले की 35% इस मंथ की देंगे, फिर टोटल जितना होगा, फिर जो रेस्ट बचेगा वो पेमेंट हम थर्ड क्वार्टर में दे देंगे। तो वो कहेंगे कि इतना कॉम्प्लिकेटेड करने की क्या जरूरत है, वी कैन अफोर्ड, अगर हम उसको अफोर्ड कर पा रहे हैं तो ले रहे हैं ना, तो क्या हम उसको इजी पेमेंट या इजी मैकेनिज्म से मंथली पेमेंट नहीं कर सकते? तो कहने का मतलब है कि क्या हम उस चीज को इतना कॉम्प्लिकेटेड क्यों कर रहे हैं? मुझे व्हाट आई फील दैट अंडर द फिक्स मेथड, आर वी नॉट मेकिंग द थिंग्स वेरी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड फॉर अस? आर वी नॉट मेकिंग द कैलकुलेशंस मोर stringent for us? Because I feel that this is not my money which I am collecting, like the tax. This is not my money, this is not going out of my pocket. So I, as a taxpayer, I am making the payments only on behalf of someone. I have collected it on behalf of someone, and now I'm just giving this payment to the government exchequer. So I am only the intermediator. This is not the my money. Somebody's money I'm collecting and I'm giving to someone, that is the government. So why so many calculations are to be involved? Although then the fixed mechanism is there, but still calculations are involved.
मैडम आपका म्यूट हो गया है। राहुल वो एग्जिट हो गई है, लेकिन म्यूट हो गया, म्यूट होने के बाद एग्जिट हो गई है फाइल। There is some technical glitch. We will sort out shortly.
हेलो अमित भैया। विष्णु आवाज आ रहा है?
हाँ आवाज आ रही है।
हाँ आ रही आवाज आ रही है।
मैडम को दोबारा ज्वाइन करने बोल।
हाँ बोल रहा हूँ।
तब तक प्रेसिडेंट साहब आप कुछ बने।
इशू क्या हुआ?
उनका एंड पे कुछ कनेक्शन का इशू।
We were discussing. Everything is audible now?
Yes, ma'am. It is audible.
So last we were discussing that what was there are two mechanisms of the payment. Like one is your fixed sum method and another is the self-assessment method. Wait, sir. So one is the fixed sum method and another is the self-assessment method. So as I told you that there is a mechanism, fixed sum. Under this mechanism, in any quarter, for the first month, what you will make a payment, that is the 35% of the tax paid in cash in the previous quarter. And in the next month, again, you will make the payment of the next 35%. And in the third month, now you will file your quarterly 3B. And in this quarterly 3B, you will file your quarterly return, and as well as you will make the rest of the payment, which is now the actual payment and whatever actually you have already paid. So this is the fixed sum method. So another is the self-assessment method. If you are opting for the self-assessment method, under this mechanism, what you will do, like whatever is the actual output for that particular month, what is the actual input which is reflected in your 2B, you will deduct the actual input, and then you will make the final payment on a monthly basis, and that too under the PMT 06 form, and quarterly will be your 3B. So this is the mechanism for making the payments. Now, under the fixed sum method or under the self-assessment method, what you will do, the payments which you are making through the form PMT 06, and all these payments, they will be, these payments you will make on the 25th of the next month. Now regarding the offsetting, so here the amount whatever you have deposited in the first 2 months, now that will be offset while making the payment of your 3Bs, right? And next is the payment mechanism for the nil returns. For example, if there are certain the nil returns, in that scenario, basically, if there is an ample amount in your cash ledger, and even there is an amount lying in your input tax credit ledger, so if these amounts they are lying, and if for example you are having the nil return, then in that scenario you are not supposed to make any payment through PMT 06 or etc. because the amount is already lying, and on the another hand there is a nil return. So it means during that particular month basically there is a no need to file any PMT06, because PMT06 is a mechanism to make a payments, and if there is a no payment then there is a no question of filing the GSTR 06. But of course, although during the 2 months there is a nil returns, but you have to report all these nil returns in your quarterly GSTR 3B. So I think if we see the scenario of this quarterly return this or monthly payment mechanism, I think from the point of view of the nil return holders, this scheme can be opted by them because this may be beneficial to those people. But on the another hand, if I see that government already provided the facility to the nil return holders, uh, like the make file your returns through the SMS facility. If this facility is already given to them, and if they can file their returns through just SMS, then again providing the one another facility to the QRMP scheme to the nil return holders, I think that doesn't make a sense. Because if I see from these people point of view, like the nil return holders, at least they can opt for this scheme. Then comes uh, your monthly payments. Under the monthly payment, as I told you that it is the PMT06, two methods. And now one question here which I want to tell you, that this PMT06 is basically the pre-filled challan, right? If you are opting for the fixed sum method, so everything is a pre-filled. It means now government is putting more attention towards the automation. Everything will be the automated, because now they are making the calculation on the basis of the previous quarter cash ledger balance or the cash payments which you were made. It means that data is available with them. If you are following the fixed mechanism, they know what is the 35% of that. So it means all the calculations will be done by the system itself, and the system at auto pre-filled challan will be in front of you. You just make a payment of it and you can go ahead. But you can't stop yourself from making the calculation of the actuals. It means actuals you have to calculate, but for the first 2 months you are relaxed through the fixed mechanism where the calculations will be done by the system itself. But for the final quarter, for the final month, or for making the final payments, you have to make the calculations and you will have to make the final payments, right? Now, and even if there is a, so what this scheme is telling us, this scheme is telling us that if you have an ample amount in your cash ledger, if there is an ample amount in your credit ledgers, and if there is any tax liability, in that scenario actually there is a no need to make a payment even through the PMT06. So you will make a payment of the PMT06 only if there is a certain shortfall, because that amount will lie in your cash ledgers, whatever you are depositing for the first 2 months of your particular quarter. And later on, final calculations will be done. Then finally, I want to tell you the dates which are applicable under the QRMP scheme. For if you are under the QRMP, then for your quarterly 3B, your dates are 22nd or 24th. For GSTR 1, now the dates they have changed. For GSTR 1, the date is actually now the 13th of the month succeeding the quarter, right? So it means no more 31st of the quarter, which was applicable right now in the previous quarters. But from the 1st January 2020, now the dates for the GSTR 1, even for the quarterly, it has changed now. This is now the 13th of the month of the succeeding quarter. Now, the question arises about the interest applicability, that how the interest will be calculated. So in this scenario, if you are under the, for example, under the fixed sum method, because now although your payments for that particular months, they may be more, but you are under the fixed and you are supposed to make the payment only of that 35% component. In that scenario, although for that particular month the tax liability is more, it doesn't mean that you will make a payment of the interest. No, it means, but of course, if you are obliged to make any payment through your PMT06 in any month, but if you are not making the payment on the 25th of your following month, because the date for PMT06 is the 25th of the next month. If you are not making the payment on 25th, under that particular scenario, of course, they will charge you the interest. And for your 3B as well, if you are not making the payment of your 3B quarterly return on time, even then, as per section 50 of your CGST Act, your interest will be applicable. So it means interest component is applicable only for making a delay in your 3B and for any delay in your PMT 06. Otherwise, they will not charge interest in the fixed sum method if they are saying that you are supposed to make the 35% and now the tax liability is more. That doesn't mean that you have paid a less and they will charge you the interest. Under that particular scenario, they will not charge interest from you. Now, the next question arises with respect to the late fees. That is, any late fees applicable if you are not filing your PMT06? Because previously, what was the scenario? Like the late fee was applicable on your 3B. Later on, GSTR 1 3B, GSTR 1 late fee was not applicable. Later on, government said, okay, no. Now they will charge. They started charging late fee even on your GSTR 1 as well. Now, under this QRMP scheme, of course, if you are not filing your GSTR 1 quarterly, your GSTR 3B quarterly, if you are not delaying in filing these two returns, of course, they will charge you the late fee. But if, for example, you are not filing your PMT06, which is relevant for the month 1 and month 2, in that particular scenario, basically, they are not charging any late fee from you. But of course, if there is a point of any payment of the taxes and you are delaying the payments through the PMT06, then of course the interest will be charged on you. But there is not any provision for the late fee for the PMT06. Now, next question arises that, for example, this is the GSTN. For example, one PAN registered person, having a GSTN in 20 states, for example. Now, is it mandatory to follow the QRMP scheme for all the states, for all my GSTN numbers? Actually, you can opt in few of the states the QRMP if you wish, and in few of the states you may keep yourself away from this QRMP scheme, right? For example, I am registered in Delhi, I am registered in Calcutta, I am registered in Maharashtra. So under this scenario, I may register myself in a QRMP scheme only for the Calcutta, and I may continue with the normal scheme for my Delhi and the Mumbai registrations. So it means a combinations can be followed. It is not mandatory to follow the QRMP scheme for my all GST numbers. Now there is one more mechanism, and that mechanism is with respect to the invoice furnishing facility. You must have heard this word IFF. Now what is this IFF? Invoice furnishing facility. As I told you that government is also thinking about the taxpayer, that how to secure their input tax credits. Because as I told you that GSTR 2 is out of picture now. So who is suffering? Businessman is suffering. And in this direction, basically, the government has provided, I think, this facility of invoice furnishing facility to these QRMP holders. If you are under the QRMP, then what you can do, because you are the quarterly return filer for both the GSTR 1 as well as GSTR 3B, because now you are not reporting your outward supplies on day-to-day basis or on the monthly basis, then how your recipients will basically get the input tax credits. So it means their input tax credit will be stuck if the person is a monthly filer. So in order to give the facility to those recipients, what government said that, okay, we will give you one another form, and this form is called basically the invoice furnishing form. What they will do, they may or they may not report the invoices, outward invoices, which they are supposed to report in the GSTR1. Basically, they can start reporting at their own option all the outward supplies in the form invoice furnishing facility. It means whatever will be reported by the supplier in the invoice furnishing facility, that particular recipient will get the input tax credit for that particular month in which this supplier will report the invoice furnishing facility. But they have capped the value. They have capped the value to the tune of rupees 50 lakh per month. That beyond the 50 lakh you cannot report. And for example, let me explain this with the help of example. For example, I have a 10 sale invoices, outward invoices. Now against these, I have an option whether I can report 2 or 3, or I do not report the rest of the 7 invoices through the invoice furnishing facility. If I report the 2 invoices, it means these 2 recipients, they will be able to take the input tax credit because the figures, they will be reflected in their corresponding 2A. So it means now they can take a credit. And now what will be the another benefit of this invoice furnishing facility? Now due to this mechanism, now there will the auto population of these invoices in my GSTR1. It means I need not to report this in my GSTR1. Automatically, the moment I will open my quarterly GSTR1, I will see these figures in my GSTR1, which I have reported through my invoice furnishing facility. Now you can understand this facility just like the e-invoicing. Like what happened in the e-invoicing, like the moment you generate the e-invoice, you must have seen that automatically these invoices, they are reflected in the your GSTR1. Similarly, through this invoice furnishing facility, all the invoices, they will be automatically reflected in your GSTR1. Now there are certain things which you have to additionally do for this invoice furnishing facility. On real time basis, you just start putting entries in your invoice furnishing facility, fine. And later on, for from the 1st of the next month till the 13th of the next month, what you will do, you have to submit that. The moment you submit that, now this is locked. Now your recipient can see all these invoices under the 2A. It means what additional tasks you have to do with respect to your invoice furnishing facility, that you have to submit it, right? So what is the outcome of this? Why this facility? Because at the one time, as I told you, that the government has provided the channel of communication with the another taxpayer. What the people will start doing, it means basically they are knocking the doors of the recipients to make the payments. They can make an arrangement with the recipients that they will not report their invoices unless and until the recipients will make a payment, because their inputs, their payments, they are stuck. So I think the government has prepared certain such type of mechanism to resolve this query, to this problem. But basically, to resolve this problem, I again say that GSTR2 is required, because once they have taken a GSTR2 out of the system, now the whole foundation of the GST is actually being shaken. Like section 37, 38, 39, they lost their relevance. So many problems they came into pictures, all due to these fundamental changes which they have done. So finally, with respect to the dates, I just want to remind you once again that for the people, for the taxable persons whose turnover is more than 5 crores, for them, their GSTR1 is to be filed on the 11th of the following month. Their GSTR3B is to be filed on the 20th of the following month. And for the taxpayers who are opting this QRMP scheme, now their quarterly GSTR1 is basically the 13th of the following month. Again, for the invoice filing facility, they are supposed to file between the 1st to 13th of the day of every month. They have to report the IFF. Then for PMT06, 25th of the following month, they have to report. And for the 3B again, it will be dependent upon the state, or it will be like the 22nd or the 24th day of the following quarter. Now let's make the analysis. Actually, here I want to show the my favorite data basically. And right now I am not able to show you this figures. Okay, let me explain you. With respect to the analysis, as on date, so this is all about the QRMP scheme. So let me brief you what actually the QRMP scheme is. What the government is saying that what QRMP? Quarterly return, monthly payment. How quarterly returns? Like GSTR1 as well as GSTR3B. It means you can't say that I will file a GSTR3B monthly, I will file the GSTR1 on a quarterly basis. No, you have to follow one thing. Both GSTR1 as well as GSTR3B, both should be quarterly, right? This is the QRMP scheme. Then what they are saying, there is a one mechanism for reporting your outward supplies, that is the invoice furnishing facility. Now this is the optional, because now you can say to the recipient, if you will make a payment to me on time, I will report your invoice in the GSTR1, right? I will report that particular invoice in GSTR1 so that you can enjoy your input tax credits. So it means they have created this type of mechanism. Later on in this particular scheme, what they are saying, there are two mechanisms for making the payments. Like one is the fixed, one is the self-assessment. If I'm saying that I'm going for the fixed mechanism, fixed has a installment type of system. 35% of that amount in first month, then rest 35 in the second month, and the actual rest in the third through your GSTR3B. But in case of the self-assessment, there is not any problem. You just make the payment as per the actual output and as per the actual input, which is reflected in your 2x. And then this is the payment mechanism, and return filing is only the quarterly. So in case of the nil, there is no requirement actually to make any payments through your PMT06. So this is the overall picture of your QRMP scheme. Now question arises that who? Now question arises that who will opt this scheme? There is a one data which actually I want to show you through my slides. As per this data, as on date, there are approximately 1,25,000 people who are registered under the GST, right? And you will be surprised to know that out of these total people, government is getting the revenue only and only from the 6%. That is, a 60% of your revenue is basically coming from your public limited, your private limited companies. So the data here is that 6% these people are given the 62% of the revenue. And you know that 90% of the registered people, they are the sole proprietors and the partnership concern. And what they are doing, and they are just giving the 20% of the total revenue to the government. And whatever government is earning, actually earning from the registered persons who are above the 5 crores. That's why whenever now they are, whatever policies, whatever notifications which are coming these days, they are basically divided into the cap of that 5 crore. Because government is getting the total revenue from these registered people only. Government is not getting a much revenue from these 90% of the people who are registered with the government. So this data remind me of the statement given by the our late finance minister, Mr. Jaitley. At that time, he said that his intent of the GST, he always used to say that he was interested basically to increase the tax base. He always talked about the tax base, that he want to increase the tax base. And I think due to that scenario, every time more tax registrations, GST registrations, they were given at that moment of time in the year 2017, 18 and 19. But now government has experienced that due to increasing the tax base and the what figures they are coming to them, the figures are that only 6% of the registered people are basically giving the revenue to the government. And government is not getting a revenue from these 90%, 92% of people, and they are just becoming a burden. They are just becoming a burden on the government. But what I personally feel that basically these people, they are not a burden. And the policies like the QRMP scheme, they are also designed for these 92% people. They are not at all designed for that important 6% of the registered person from basically government is getting the revenue. So is it ease of doing business giving to these 90% of the taxpayers basically who are not contributing anything for towards the revenue? So is government wants to discourage them to be the part of this GST regime? Now have they switched their objective from declining or reducing the tax base? I think the philosophy of reducing the tax base is not correct. The philosophy which was followed previously, like the to increase the tax base, that philosophy was the perfect policy. Reason being, so why I'm saying so? Once I was reading about uh, like this Myanmar. I was reading about the Myanmar, Burma. आपने बर्मा के बारे में सुना होगा. तो I was exploring कि whether the Burma was a part of India, because what the Britisher did, like they take the Burma before giving us independence. First of all, they take the Burma out of India. So I was just thinking whether it was actual part of India. Actually, Burma was not actually the part of India. And why they include the Burma in our country just for their administrative facility. And later on, what happened during that time, many business owners, they from India, they were working in a Burma, and the Burma's economy was contributed basically by the Indian businessman because they were doing a business there. And once the India got independence and Burma got independence, then what happened? The Burma asked Indians to come out of to go out of their country, and you know their economy was run basically by the Indian business owner. The revenue which was earned by the Burma was basically through that chunk of Indians who were doing business in India. The moment they were taken out of the country, then the whole economy was settled down, very down. So similar example I've really applied to these figures which I have presented in my slides. Now, once you will see the slides, then you can better correlate what actually I want to communicate with you. That similar scenario is in our country. Just imagine the concentration of wealth. Only these 6% people, they are similarly, these few people, they were actually handling the whole business at that time in Burma, like they were contributing 60% of revenue. Similarly, these 6% of the registered person, they are having the monopoly of giving the revenues. You must have seen कि आप देखेंगे कि किसकी रिस्पेक्ट होती है, किसकी बात सुनी जाती है, जो पर्सन कम रेवेन्यू देता है. आप अपनी फैमिली में भी देखेंगे कि जो पर्सन रेवेन्यू दे रहा है, जो पर्सन अर्न करके लाता है, उसी के रिस्पेक्ट की जाती है, उसी के लिए पॉलिसी बनाई जाती है, उसी की बात सुनी जाती है. सिमिलरली ये डेटा से आप देखेंगे जो मैंने स्लाइड्स में आपको प्रोवाइड किया है कि क्या सिर्फ 6% लोग हमारी कंट्री का रेवेन्यू जनरेट कर रहे हैं, और यही 6% है जो आगे इनकम टैक्स भी देते हैं. इसीलिए क्या होता है कि ये जो हम सोल प्रोप्राइटर पार्टनरशिप कंसर्न चलाते हैं, अगर हम रेवेन्यू दे ही नहीं रहे हैं, अगर हम गवर्नमेंट की पॉलिसी मेकिंग का पार्ट ही नहीं है, तो हमारे लिए क्या किया जाएगा? हमारे लिए कुछ भी नहीं किया जाएगा, बिकॉज वी आर नॉट द कंट्रीब्यूटर्स. तो आई थिंक यही विजन मिस्टर जेटली की थी कि ज्यादा से लोग टैक्स बेस दें, उसके एक पार्ट बने, और जीएसटी का ऑब्जेक्टिव लोगों को डिसिप्लिन लाना था बिजनेस में. जीएसटी का ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑर्गेनाइज्ड करने का था. तो जस्ट इमेजिन कि अगर आपका बिजनेस ऑर्गेनाइज्ड है, अगर आप सिस्टम में रिटर्न्स को फाइल कर रहे हैं, आप उसमें अपने बिजनेस को ऑर्गेनाइज्ड कर पाते हैं. तो सिमिलरली इस डाटा के थ्रू मैं ये मैसेज कन्वे करना चाहती हूँ कि ये डेटा अपने आप में बोल रहा है कि देयर इज अ कॉन्सेंट्रेशन ऑफ वेल्थ, और अगर कंट्री के अंदर कॉन्सेंट्रेशन ऑफ वेल्थ रहेगा तो इट इज अ डेंजरस फॉर अस. सो इन्हें डिस्करेज. सो आई थिंक QRMP और या किसी भी स्कीम के थ्रू टैक्स बेस को कम नहीं करना है, इसके थ्रू किसी को डिस्करेज नहीं करना कि वो जीएसटी की रिजीम से बाहर हो. जीएसटी के रिजीम के अंदर एंटर करना ही कंट्री के लिए बेनिफिट है. और जस्ट इमेजिन कुछ और बड़ी एस्टॉनिशिंग फिगर्स बेसिकली मैंने अपनी स्लाइड्स में दी है कि फाइनेंशियल ईयर 2018 और 19 के अंदर 23% लोगों ने नील रिटर्न भरी. जस्ट इमेजिन कि गवर्नमेंट के ऊपर नील रिटर्न भरने का बर्डन था. अगर आप इतने लोग नील रिटर्न्स भर रहे हैं, जस्ट इमेजिन, तो वो एक बर्डन है. तो इसीलिए गवर्नमेंट ने क्या कहा कि जो लोग नील रिटर्न भरे इनकी जीएसटी के रजिस्ट्रेशंस को कैंसिल करो, कि ये लोग बीच में क्यों पार्ट है इसके अंदर जो बिल्कुल ही पूरा थ्रू आउट द ईयर नील ही रिटर्न भर रहे हैं. जस्ट इमेजिन कि 23% लोग जो थे वो नील रिटर्न भर रहे थे, और 70% ही लोग थे जो कि 5 करोड़ से नीचे के रिटर्न भरते हैं, और सिर्फ 5 करोड़ से ऊपर की रिटर्न भरने वाले सिर्फ 7% लोग ही हैं जो 5 करोड़ से ऊपर भरते हैं, जो कि बेसिकली कंट्री के लिए रेवेन्यू लेकर आते हैं इनडायरेक्ट जीएसटी के थ्रू. So this was all about the analysis of QRMP. So you have to make an analysis whether the QRMP scheme is applicable, good for your clients, whether it will give any benefit. If you feel that this scheme is not going to give any benefit to my clients, then I think the last date to come out of the scheme is the 31st of January 2021. So you can come out of it, and again you are standing at the same situation from which we started, like the 1st July 2017, monthly. It means now you are opting monthly GSTR1 as well as monthly 3B. So I think the intent of government is that if you are a dedicated, sincere GST registered person, you want to do business, then be disciplined, come into the normal mechanism. And what is the normal? Normal is the GSTR1 and GSTR3B monthly filing. Now, certain few changes they were made in the registration as well. In the last few months, you must have seen that government has made certain changes with respect to the GST registrations. Like now, they have said previously, GST registrations used to come just within the 3 days from the date of application, but now they have increased this date from these days from 3 days to the 7 days, right? Because as I told you, first the objective was to increase the tax base, and many times even the officers they were also stuck up with certain type of works, sometime due to the overload कि बहुत सारा overload हो रहता है, 3 दिन तो पता भी नहीं लगते, तो ऑफिसर क्या करते थे, कुछ भी ऑब्जेक्शन लगा के उसकी एप्लीकेशन में लगा देते थे कि ठीक है अभी 7 दिन 10 दिन और मिल जाएंगे। तो उन्होंने कहा कि ठीक है, अपने ऑफिसर्स के बर्डन को कम करने के लिए नाउ लेट्स मेक दिस 3 days इनटू द 7 days, तो उन्होंने उसको 7 days में कन्वर्ट कर दिया। उसके बाद उन्होंने इसमें then they launched the आधार ऑथेंटिकेशन कॉन्सेप्ट। अब ये आधार ऑथेंटिकेशन आने का रीजन क्या था, क्योंकि बहुत सारी बोगस बिलिंग्स हो रही थी, बहुत सारे लोग ऐसे फ्रॉड्स के केसेस गवर्नमेंट के सामने बहुत आए, तो गवर्नमेंट इस बात से बहुत ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम में थी। तो रीजन क्या था कि बहुत सारे लोग ऐसे थे कि अपने किसी गार्डनर है, कारपेंटर रखा है या कुछ अपना सर्वेंट है, उसके आधार और उसके ऊपर क्या है वो लोग रजिस्ट्रेशन ले लेते हैं। तो उन सब चीजों को कर्ब करने के लिए गवर्नमेंट ने कहा कि अब से आधार ऑथेंटिकेशन मैंडेटरी है। और जहाँ मैंडेटरी क्योंकि पहला नहीं था, तो आप जैसे ही लॉग इन करते हैं तो वो पहले आपसे बोलता है कि आप आधार ऑथेंटिकेशन करें। तो अगर आप मेरे अकॉर्डिंगली वो आधार ऑथेंटिकेशन हम लोगों को कर देनी चाहिए, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट बेसिकली आज तो आपको एक ऑप्शन दे रही है, लेकिन लेटर ऑन क्या है वो इस चीज को मैंडेटरी करेगी। तो बेटर it's a better we give a suggestion to our clients that they should confirm their Aadhaar authentication. And then they also launched the concept of physical verification. Like if you are not giving your Aadhaar authentication, then the physical verifications will be done. And which government is doing these days, all due to the reason that there is a bogus billing scenarios and there are fraud cases which are coming up. Then you must have observed that these days GST registration has been cancelled. मैनी पीपल इवन एक दिन में 10 क्लाइंट्स आते हैं कि हमारा जीएसटी का रजिस्ट्रेशन कैंसिल हो गया, बिकॉज बहुत सारे लोग जो थे जीएसटी का जो रजिस्ट्रेशन है रिटर्न्स नहीं फाइल कर रहे थे। ये तो एक बहुत पुरानी चीज चली आ रही थी कि आप रिटर्न नहीं फाइल करते हैं, उन्होंने आपकी जीएसटी रजिस्ट्रेशन कैंसिल कर दी। लेकिन अब उन्होंने अमेंडमेंट रूल 21 में करने के बाद तो आपसे ये कहा कि अब तो बहुत सारी चीजें और ऐड कर दी जिसके बेस के ऊपर जीएसटी का नंबर कैंसिल कर देते। और यहाँ सबसे बड़ी जो प्रैक्टिकल डिफिकल्टी आती है कि वो आपकी जीएसटी के नंबर को पहले कैंसिल करता है, सस्पेंड कर देता है, और उसके बाद आपको ऑप्शन देता है कि आपकी रजिस्ट्रेशन कैंसिल क्यों ना की जाए। अब जब आपका नंबर सस्पेंड हो गया, आप रिटर्न नहीं भर सकते, आप सप्लाई नहीं कर सकते, तो इट मींस ये एक थोड़ा सा पॉइंट डिफिकल्ट क्रिएट किया गया टू डिस्करेज। बेसिकली ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या था कि वो डिस्करेज करना चाहते हैं आपको कि आप रिटर्न फाइलिंग अगर नहीं करते हैं तो आपको उसके एडवर्स कॉन्सिक्वेंस झेलने होंगे। लाइक एक तो ये रीजन है ये कि आपने रिटर्न नहीं फाइल की, और अब रीजन क्या हुआ कि कोविड के कारण बहुत सारे लोगों ने अपनी प्रॉपर्टीज कुछ रेंट पे ली हुई थी, अब उन्होंने वहां से वेकेट कर दी। अब ऑफिसर्स क्या कर रहे हैं आजकल, वो आपके वहां पर फिजिकल वेरिफिकेशन के लिए जाते हैं, वहां लॉक लगा होता है। अब वहां लॉक लगने के कारण वो क्या करते हैं, वो देखते हैं कि ये प्रेमिसेस में कोई यहाँ बिजनेस नहीं रन हो रहा, और वो आकर अपने डेस्क पे आता है और आपकी जीएसटी नंबर कैंसिल कर देता है। तो एक ये डिफिकल्टीज कोविड के बाद बहुत सारे लोगों ने फेस की है, क्योंकि अब अमेंडमेंट रूल 21 के अकॉर्डिंगली अगर उसे वहां पर लगता है कि कोई बिजनेस नहीं चल रहा उस प्लेस पर जहां वो रजिस्टर्ड है, तो वो आके आपका नंबर कैंसिल कर देता है। दूसरा, अगर मान लीजिए बैंक अकाउंट आपने 45 डेज में रिपोर्ट नहीं किया जब आपने रजिस्ट्रेशन लिया, तो वो आपका नंबर कैंसिल कर देता है, आपको सस्पेंड कर दिया जाता है नंबर को। फिर उसके बाद नेक्स्ट चीज ऑप्ट की गई यहाँ पर कि अगर मान लीजिए आपका GSTR 1 की फिगर ज्यादा है आपके GSTR 3B से, इन दैट सिनेरियो भी वो आपका GST नंबर सस्पेंड कर देता है। फिर उसके बाद एक रूल 86 भी है जो कि हम लेटर ऑन डिस्कस करेंगे। उस सिनेरियो में भी GST नंबर आपका कैंसिल हो जाता है अगर आप उस प्रोविजन को फॉलो नहीं करते हैं। और ड्यू टू एंटी प्रॉफिटरिंग कुछ प्रोविजंस लग गई तो GST नंबर कैंसिल। उसके बाद आपने इनवॉइस इशू किया है बिना गुड्स सेल किए, तो इस तरह की कुछ भी आप वायलेशन करते हैं तो नाउ द डिपार्टमेंट हैज द पावर बेसिकली टू कैंसल योर GST नंबर्स। अगला अमेंडमेंट आया है नोटिफिकेशन नंबर 94/22 के थ्रू रूल 59 में चेंज किया है। पहले सिनेरियो क्या था कि हम लोग GSTR 3B जो टैक्स पेयर नहीं पे कर रहा था, तो 3B ना पे करने पर उसको 2 महीने उसने लगातार 3B नहीं फाइल किया, तो उस सिनेरियो में क्या होता था कि आपका ई-वे बिल ब्लॉक कर देता था। अब सिनेरियो क्या है कि 3B तो है ही है, लेकिन साथ के साथ ही आपका GSTR 1 भी जो है, अगर आप नहीं फाइल करते हैं 2 कंसेक्यूटिव मंथ्स के लिए, तो वहां पर भी आपका ई-वे बिल जो है वो ब्लॉक कर दिया जाएगा। अब नेक्स्ट हम स्टडी करते हैं अपना रूल 86 भी, जो कि नया रूल आया है जिसके अंदर जो कि एप्लीकेबल है 1 जनवरी 2020 से। अब यहाँ पर ये रूल क्या कहता है? ये रूल कहता है रिस्ट्रिक्शन ऑन द यूज ऑफ अमाउंट अवेलेबल इन इलेक्ट्रॉनिक क्रेडिट लेजर। इस बारे में जैसे ये रूल आया, बहुत इसके बारे में शोर आया कि 1% टैक्स जो है वो उसको कैश में पे करना पड़ेगा, चाहे उसका क्रेडिट लेजर में अवेलेबल भी है। तो कई बार हम उस चीज को पूरी तरह से नहीं पढ़ते और बहुत जल्दी उसका एनालिसिस करते हैं। अगर आप रूल 86B को देखेंगे तो 86B क्या कहता है? एक तो वो ये बोलता है कि where the value of tax supply other than the exempt supply and the zero rated supply in the month exceeds the 50 lakh rupees। इसका मतलब जहां पर 50 लाख से एक्सीड करता है, ये प्रोविजन वहां पर ही लगती है, राइट? अगर आपकी टैक्सेबल वैल्यू 50 लाख से ऊपर है तो ये 86B लगेगा। लेकिन उन्होंने बहुत सारी एक्सेप्शंस दी, क्योंकि इससे पहले हमें ये इसके बारे में सीखना है कि इसको लाने का ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या था। किसी भी नोटिफिकेशन के आने के पीछे कुछ ऑब्जेक्टिव्स होते हैं, तो नोटिफिकेशन को पढ़ने के बाद और उससे पहले भी कहीं ना कहीं उसका ऑब्जेक्टिव जानना बहुत जरूरी होता है कि ये किसको किसको ट्रिगर किया जा रहा है, किसको इम्पैक्ट करने वाला है। तो ये ट्रिगर या इम्पैक्ट किसको करना चाहता था, किसको रोकना चाहता था। ये जो रूल 86B है वो बेसिकली तो आपकी जो लोग बोगस बिलिंग या जो फ्रॉड करने के ऑब्जेक्टिव से GST में एंट्री करते हैं, ये उनको रोकने के लिए किया गया था। क्योंकि वो क्या है, कुछ सिर्फ गवर्नमेंट से ही चोरी करके लेकर चला जाता है, तो गवर्नमेंट ने उन लोगों को रोकने के लिए किया। लेकिन यहाँ गवर्नमेंट किसी जेन्युइन ऑनेस्ट टैक्स पेयर को कहीं भी प्रॉब्लम नहीं देना चाहती, क्योंकि बहुत सारे लोगों ने बोला, ये मेरा एक पर्सनल ओपिनियन है कि ये हाई कोर्ट में चैलेंज होना चाहिए रूल। लेकिन अगर मैं इस रूल को, अगर आप इसका बहुत प्रॉपर एनालिसिस करते हैं कि ये 86B क्या कहता है, तो एट द एंड आप कहेंगे कि कहीं भी जो इस नोटिफिकेशन का इंटेंट था, इस रूल को लेकर आने का इंटेंट किसी को प्रॉब्लम देने के लिए नहीं था। रीजन क्या था? क्योंकि उन्होंने इसके साथ कुछ एक्सेप्शन दी कि 86B किस पर नहीं लगेगा। अब आप देखिए 86B, अगर उस कंपनी का कोई डायरेक्टर, चाहे पार्टनर है चाहे वो प्रोप्राइटर है, अगर वो प्रीवियस इनकम टैक्स के अंदर पिछले 2 सालों में 1-1 लाख का टैक्स पे कर रहा है, तो उसके ऊपर ये प्रोविजन एप्लीकेबल है ही नहीं। उसके बाद अगर रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन ने रिफंड 1 लाख का प्रीसीडिंग फाइनेंशियल ईयर में क्लेम किया है, चाहे उसने अनयूटिलाइज इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट क्लेम किया है 1 लाख से ऊपर का, तो उस सिनेरियो में भी उसके ऊपर एप्लीकेबल नहीं है। फिर उसके बाद उन्होंने कहा कि अगर मान लीजिए उसने आज पे करना पड़ रहा है उसको 50 लाख से ऊपर की टैक्सेबल वैल्यू की अमाउंट के ऊपर, अगर उसने पिछले किसी भी इस फाइनेंशियल ईयर के अंदर कहीं भी 1% से ज्यादा का टैक्स कैश में पे किया है तो भी एप्लीकेबल नहीं होता। फिर उन्होंने कहा जितनी भी गवर्नमेंट, पीएसयू, लोकल स्टैट्यूटरी बॉडीज हैं उनके ऊपर भी नहीं लगेगा। तो कहने का मतलब है धीरे धीरे, अब देखिए जो तो आपका स्मॉल टैक्स पेयर है, नील टैक्स पेयर है, जो कि मैंने बोला कि 23% के करीब नील फाइल करता है, उस पे तो नहीं लगेगा क्योंकि वो इसके एम्बेट में आता ही नहीं है। उसके बाद जो आपका 5 करोड़ से नीचे का टैक्स पेयर है वो तो इतनी टैक्स की वैल्यू का इनवॉइस जनरेट ही नहीं कर रहा। अगर मान लीजिए कर रहा है तो उसका कहीं ना कहीं अगर जैसे कि मैंने बोला कि 6% लोग जो हैं वही कंट्री का पूरा रेवेन्यू ला रहे हैं, तो वो कंपनी सारी 5 करोड़ से ऊपर वाली है। तो ये जो 5 करोड़ से ऊपर वाली कंपनी है उनका कोई ना कोई डायरेक्टर या उसका पार्टनर या उसका सोल प्रोप्राइटर कहीं ना कहीं 1 लाख से ऊपर का टैक्स भी पे कर रहा है, जो इतना इस सिनेरियो में फॉल कर रहा है। तो कहीं ना कहीं यहाँ पर किसी को भी इन्वॉल्व नहीं किया जा रहा। और फाइनली एक सेंटेंस लिखने के बाद उन्होंने अपने आप को भी सिक्योर किया और हर टैक्स पेयर को सिक्योर किया। जब उन्होंने इस रूल 86B में फाइनली लिखा, जो प्रोवाइजो थी, provided further that commissioner or the officer authorized by him in this behalf may remove the said restriction after such verification and such safeguard as may deem fit। इसका मतलब अगर अभी भी कोई पर्सन है जिसके ऊपर ये एप्लीकेबल हो गया, क्योंकि कुछ सिनेरियोज में हो सकता है कि 86B किसी पे लगे, लेकिन अगर वो जाकर कमिश्नर को अपना पूरा मैटर्स प्रेजेंट करता है कि हमारे सिनेरियो में 86B को रिमूव कर दिया जाए, तो कमिश्नर के पास पावर है कि उसके मैटर को देखने के बाद वो 86B उसके ऊपर नहीं लगेगा। तो जब आप इसको ओवरऑल स्टडी करते हैं हर सेगमेंट को देखकर, जो आपका स्मॉल टैक्स पेयर है, बड़ा टैक्स पेयर है, तो मुझे लगता है कहीं ना कहीं बहुत कुछ कम केसेस होंगे जो कि 86B के अंदर फॉल करेंगे। अगर कोई फॉल कर रहा है, वो जेन्युइन है, तो डेफिनेटली कमिश्नर उसको उसकी हेल्प कर सकता है। तो इस क्लॉज का ऑब्जेक्टिव जो था वो बोगस ट्रांजैक्शंस के ऑब्जेक्टिव से ही इसको इंट्रोड्यूस किया गया। अब एक रिसेंटली नोटिफिकेशन आया था जहां पर रूल 36(4) को फिर दोबारा से इसकी बात की गई। 3 बार गवर्नमेंट इसके बारे में लेकर आई है इस बात को। 2019 9 अक्टूबर 2019 से इस क्लॉज के पीछे गवर्नमेंट है, रूल 36(4). इसके अंदर पहले 20% की बात हुई, फिर 10% की बात हुई। अब विद इफेक्ट फ्रॉम 1 जनवरी 2021 से ये क्लॉज 5% पे। तो अब करेंटली जो है ये कैप 5%, और लेटर ऑन मुझे तो ये लग रहा है कि ये क्लॉज 5% से गवर्नमेंट अब इस इंटेंट के ऊपर आ चुकी है कि फाइनली अब आप अपना जो भी इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट लेंगे वही लेंगे जो आपके 2B में रिफ्लेक्ट कर रहा है या 2A में रिफ्लेक्ट कर रहा है, आप सिर्फ उतना ही क्रेडिट लेंगे। तो ये गवर्नमेंट की इंटेंट यहाँ हमें नजर आ रही है थ्रू रूल 36(4). उसके बाद नेक्स्ट है HSN कोड के रिगार्डिंग भी एक नया नोटिफिकेशन है, जिसके अंदर गवर्नमेंट ने कहा है कि 1 अप्रैल 2021 से अब आपको जो HSN कोड है, अगर देखिए आप बार बार देखिए कि 5 करोड़ से नीचे और 5 करोड़ से ऊपर की बात की जाती है, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट के लिए एक डिमार्केशन लाइन है, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट को रेवेन्यू 5 करोड़ से ऊपर से आता है, इसीलिए गवर्नमेंट इसी को बेस लाइन रखती है और इसी के बेस के ऊपर हमेशा डिसीजंस लेती है। अब यहाँ पर गवर्नमेंट ने कहा कि अगर तो आप 5 करोड़ से ऊपर की टर्नओवर वाले हैं तो 1 अप्रैल 2021 से आपको अपने इनवॉइसेस के अंदर 6 डिजिट HSN कोड देना होगा जब आप B2B की सप्लाई करेंगे। सिमिलरली गवर्नमेंट ने कहा अगर आप 5 करोड़ से नीचे की एग्रीगेट टर्नओवर में फॉल कर रहे हैं तो आप जो अपना HSN कोड है वो 4 डिजिट का HSN कोड अपने इनवॉइसेस के अंदर रिपोर्ट करेंगे। ये मैंडेटरी क्लॉज है इन केस ऑफ B2B ट्रांजैक्शन। और उन्होंने कहा ठीक है, जो B2C की ट्रांजैक्शन रहती है उस केस में उन्होंने इसको ऑप्शन दे दिया कि ठीक है, वहां आप इसको चाहे रिपोर्ट नहीं करें। तो यहाँ मेरा हमेशा व्यू पॉइंट रहता है कि गवर्नमेंट हमसे जब HSN कोड मांगती है कि आप इसे HSN कोड को दीजिए, तो एक बिजनेस ओनर क्यों रिलक्टेंट है HSN कोड देने के लिए? क्योंकि देखिए, आप उसका इंटेंट समझिए कि HSN कोड को देने से फायदा क्या होता है। हमेशा हमें देखना है कि इसका बेनिफिट क्या है मेरे बिजनेस के लिए। क्या मेरे बिजनेस के लिए इसका कोई बेनिफिट नहीं है, या मेरी कंट्री के लिए इसका कोई बेनिफिट नहीं है? तो आप अगर देखेंगे कि अगर आप HSN कोड्स को प्रॉपरली देते हैं और इवन 8 डिजिट मांगा गया है, कुछ स्पेसिफाइड लिस्ट बनाई है जिसमें कि आपको 8 डिजिट भी देना है, तो इन सब चीजों को देने के पीछे आपके बेनिफिट्स क्या है? देखिए, एक तो अगर आप HSN कोड अपने ही सप्लाईज का प्रॉपरली जानते हैं तो आपको उसका रेट आइडेंटिफाई करना इजी रहता है। और दूसरा, ये तो आपका फ्रॉम बिजनेस पॉइंट ऑफ रहा। अगर मैं इसको गवर्नमेंट और कंट्री के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से विजुअलाइज करूं, तो जो HSN कोड होता है, जितनी भी पॉलिसीज बनाई जाती है वो HSN कोड के बेस के ऊपर ही नेक्स्ट पॉलिसी बनाई जाएगी। तो गवर्नमेंट इस कोड के थ्रू ही एक डेटा अपने पास लेकर आती है कि हमारी कंट्री के अंदर ऐसी कौन सा प्रोडक्ट है, ऐसी कौन सी सप्लाई है जो ज्यादा हो रही है, तो उसके लिए क्या प्रोविजंस बनानी है, उसको कैसे आगे प्रमोट करना है, उसके लिए और क्या इन्वेस्ट करना है। तो इट मीन्स गवर्नमेंट को ये सारी चीजें कहाँ से पता चलती हैं? वो HSN कोड के थ्रू ही फिल्टर लगाता है। तो ये फिल्टर लगाना इजी है गवर्नमेंट के लिए। अगर आप चाहते हैं, अगर आपका HSN कोड गवर्नमेंट के किसी पॉलिसी के स्कैनर के अंदर आया ही नहीं, तो गवर्नमेंट आपके लिए क्या पॉलिसी बनाएगी? आपका प्रोडक्ट टॉप लाइन में आ ही नहीं रहा तो गवर्नमेंट क्या आपके लिए करेगी? तो इट मीन्स कि HSN कोड का एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रोल रहता है किसी भी कंट्री के इकोनॉमिक लेवल पे उसे बनाने के लिए। तो ये मेरा एक पर्सनल ओपिनियन है HSN कोड को लेकर। तो बल्कि मैं तो ये सोचती हूँ कि गवर्नमेंट हम लोगों को एक रिटर्न फाइलिंग का एक स्टैंडर्ड, एक सिस्टम होना चाहिए कि यही एक स्टैंडर्ड और प्रॉपर सिस्टम है जिसे हम सब फॉलो करें। तो ऐसा क्यों नहीं गवर्नमेंट एक चीज फैसिलिटी लेकर आती कि HSN कोड जो है वो किसी प्रोफेशनल, चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स और जितनी और प्रोफेशनल बॉडीज हैं उन्हें ये ऑथोराइज करके क्यों ना ये कहा जाए कि आपको अपनी कंपनी का जो HSN कोड है वो सर्टिफाई कराना है, ताकि उसके अंदर कहीं मिस्टेक की, एम्बिग्युइटी की कोई चांस ही ना रहे। कितने सारे केस लॉज आप देखते हैं जो कि HSN कोड बेस्ड रहते हैं। तो यहाँ पर जब आप ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस करते हैं, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि सारी एनर्जी जो है वो रिटर्न कैसे भरें, बस उसी पे लगाई हुई है। हम प्रोफेशनल्स को भी सारा दिन की एक रिटर्न का क्या मैकेनिज्म है, आज GSTR 1 है, कल 2 थी, कल 3 है, आज सहज थी, कल सुगम थी, आज QRMP आ गई। तो गवर्नमेंट खुद की एनर्जी और हमारी एनर्जी सिर्फ रिटर्न फाइलिंग के ऊपर ही लगा रही है। तो क्यों ना वो ये HSN कोड और ये जो इम्पोर्टेंट इश्यूज रहते हैं, जो कल को उसकी एक लिटिगेशन में अगर क्लाइंट फंस जाता है HSN कोड के ऊपर, तो उसको ह्यूज कॉस्ट बियर करनी पड़ती है। तो ईज ऑफ बिजनेस तब होता है जब, ताकि ये CA सर्टिफाई कर दे कि यही HSN कोड है तुम्हारी कंपनी का। और आपको क्या लगता है कि वो टास्क करना एक कोई आसान टास्क होता है? अगर मैं कहूँ कि HSN कोड ये नहीं कि मैंने गूगल पे देखा और मैंने HSN कोड बता दिया, नहीं, उसके पीछे बहुत सारा हार्डवर्क करना पड़ता है जो एक प्रोफेशनल बहुत बेटर वे में प्रोवाइड कर सकता है, और जहाँ पर एनर्जी और जहाँ पर माइंड लगाने की ज़रूरत है, आई थिंक वही गवर्नमेंट को इन सब चीज़ों के लिए इनिशिएटिव्स लेने चाहिए। तो यही कुछ बातें मैं आज आपके साथ शेयर करना चाहती थी, बट देखिए बीच में थोड़ा सा टेक्नोलॉजी बेस और कुछ कॉम्प्लिकेशन नेटवर्क की वजह से मैं अपनी प्रेजेंटेशन के थ्रू नहीं प्रेजेंट कर पाई, और कुछ स्लैक के कारण जो भी मैं आपसे शेयर करना चाहती थी मैंने शेयर किया। और अब आप लोगों के कुछ भी क्वेश्चंस हैं तो आई एम हैप्पी टू आंसर ऑल द क्वेरीज। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thank you. Any participant have any question? In chat box, there is two question field. If there is any question for any member, please raise your hand. We will unmute you.
एनी क्वेश्चंस प्लीज?
I think there is no question. So now I request our secretary of the association, Vivek Panka, to offer vote of thanks.
Thanks, Amit. Am I audible?
Yes, Vivek.
Yeah. On behalf of the sharing views on QRMP and latest amendment in GST. Madam, you explained the topic in a very nice and lucid manner. Really, the deliberation was very informative, and I am sure it will give the value addition to our professional knowledge. Thanks a lot, madam. And thanks to all viewers for joining on Zoom. Some important announcement is also here. Tomorrow, 26 Jan, the Republic Day celebration and felicitation of our founder member of BIMCA at 9:30 sharp. And another program is on 3rd Feb regarding the budget seminar, where the speakers are Girish Ahuja sir, Jatin Harjai sir, Bhupender Shah, and CA Vijay Mantri. The timing is the 10:30 to 1:30 in the morning. All are requested to join. Thanks a lot.
For coming.
Thanks, Pailji.
थैंक यू।
Yeah, thanks, Pailji.
थैंक यू।
Yeah.
Thank you. Now we end up the session.
Yeah.
Rahul, हाँ राहुल, हाँ सेशन